Hey there, it's your boy, A Biopic. Now, as the year comes to an end, the decorative lights, wreaths, and lit trees begin to appear as early as November in celebration of the holiday to come. For most people, December, and specifically Christmas itself, can bring joy to them as they begin to imagine their family spending time together while opening each other's presents. While this is often the case for most, there are a few unfortunate souls out there that suffer during this period as old wounds begin to open and memories of lost ones fill their mind. Join me today as I start a small two-part series where I will briefly examine 8 Christmas murder cases that have shaken and altered the usually festive holiday for many of the victims' family and friends. In this video, I will go over 4 cases, so stay tuned for the next one coming out soon. Christmas gifts. Michelle O'Dowd, a loving and caring 67-year-old woman, would be killed and stuffed under a Christmas tree. O'Dowd had befriended an ex-girlfriend of her nephew, which some had considered as a family friend. Michelle O'Dowd would go on to allow Patty Michelle White, at 40 years of age, to stay with her as she got back on her feet. From South Carolina, Patty White would take odd jobs from the always friendly O'Dowd. Michelle O'Dowd's own twin brother, Phil Axt, has been stated as saying that Patty White could not keep a job nor get her life together. Tragically, Phil would be the one to find his sister as he would end up looking for her after being contacted by her workplace as she had not showed up in the recent days. Located within a gated community, Phil was able to gain access to the home where his worst fears came to be. The door was open and the house had been ransacked. Chairs and tables had all been turned upside down, while her car and dog were still there. As he entered the home and began to take in his surroundings, Phil would notice a foot sticking out of a big pile of Christmas gifts. Buried under the gifts was his sister's cold body, her bloody face covered with a towel. Police said Patty White had returned to Florida to rob O'Dowd after staying with relatives in South Carolina. Whatever took place in that apartment went horribly wrong, and she ended up beating and killing her, according to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Patty White then returned to South Carolina, where she confessed to authorities after she was pulled over and promptly arrested. Phil Axt was quoted as saying that his sister treated White as part of the family, so much so that O'Dowd had even entrusted Patty White with a PIN number to her debit card. The Covina Massacre. Bruce Parado would show up to his ex-wife's family home on Christmas Eve 2008 and would begin a shooting spree, killing 9 people and injuring 3 others. 1 week after his divorce had been finalized, Parado would arrive at the Ortega's home where he would begin to shoot everyone in sight. Reports state that there were at least 25 family members and friends within the Ortega family home. Parado entered the house wearing a Santa Claus suit and would begin his massacre by shooting an 8-year-old survivor who unluckily answered the door. Parado's ex-wife, both of her parents, her 2 brothers and their wives, her sister, and her nephew were the unfortunate victims of his murder spree. The following morning, on Christmas Day, Parado would die from a self-inflicted gun wound to the head. A police investigation would show that Bruce Parado had initially intended to flee from the state of California as he possessed a plane ticket and over $15,000 strapped to his leg. Parado would not be able to complete his escape after receiving multiple third-degree burns from detonating a homemade flamethrower in the attempts to destroy evidence after his rampage. The Ashland Tragedy. 3 teens were brutally murdered inside of their own home on December 23, 1881. 17-year-old amputee Robert Gibbons, his 14-year-old sister Fanny, and their 15-year-old friend Emma Carrico were fast asleep when 3 assailants entered the Gibbons home and mercilessly murdered the 3 using a crowbar and axe. After the brutal attack had been committed, the murderous trio would set the home ablaze. Neighbors would be alerted from the home due to the flames, and when entering the house, they would find the 3 young teens' bodies lying lifeless with their skulls smashed in. 3 physicians from the area would conclude that the 2 girls had also been brutally raped. 3 men would be convicted of the crimes: George Ellis, William Neal, and George Kraft. Ellis would be killed by a lynch mob, while Neal and Kraft were hanged after their trial. Dustin Klopp's axe murder. The Christmases for 2 Pennsylvanian children will forever be ruined, or at the very least, be filled with some sort of grief, as they will be reminded of the day their father murdered their own mother in cold blood. Dustin Lee Klopp would take an axe to his wife's head after a domestic argument that ended with his wife of 3 years, Stephanie Kilhefner, unconscious. Soon after, Dustin Klopp would proceed in slitting her throat with a knife, followed by taking an axe to her head. Dustin later admitted that his wife was still alive before striking her with the axe. After cleaning up the crime scene and stuffing Stephanie's remains in a bag, Dustin would try to conceal the body within a shed located on their property. On the following morning, Klopp would awaken his children, ages 2 and 5, to celebrate Christmas Day at his parents' home. Dustin would later confess to his father of the crimes, and following the confessions, Klopp's father would drive him to the state police. Alright fam, that's it for this one. Stay tuned for the second part, where I will examine 4 more tragic Christmas cases. Please stay safe and vigilant out there. From your boy, A Biopic.